We've looked at Jesus, what Mark's Gospel was about, generally. We've talked about Jesus and his healings. We've talked about Jesus and the deliverance that he's done in terms of dealing with the demonic. And today we're just going to generally look at miracles that we still find in the book of Mark. You can give out any colour paper you want, unless it's got stuff on it. No, don't worry. If it's got, I've got loads over here actually. Sorry, loads of paper. There you go. So we're going to look at miracles. So my first question that I'm going to get you to answer straight away is a definition of a miracle. Okay, what is a miracle? I want you to, in about between 12 and 15 words, you can start with, I'll give you the first 3 words. A miracle is. Okay? Yeah, write it down on a bit of paper, because I want to see your definition of what a miracle is. So throw around some ideas about what a miracle is, and then agree together on the definition of around 15 words. 12, 15 words. Do you need pens, by the way? Because there are pens in that tin as well. Are we okay with pens, yeah? Oh, give me that. Okay, good. Okay, are we there? Right, so I'm going to get you to read. If I get you to read from where you are, okay, from your table. So we're going to start in the far corner there, if I can. What's your one? Who would like to be the reader? Find yourself a reader. Okay, completely healed. Okay, so a miracle is when someone lays hands on you and suddenly they're okay. All right? This one? I'm going to do a few things here. I'm going to do healing by laying of hands. I'll take that one. And yours is supernatural. Okay. Did you look it up? Supernatural event. Okay. It can be something that doesn't happen. You like to explain that? It stopped. Ah, yeah, of course. Good. Yeah. So intervention. Bye.
Scotland winning the World Cup.
Okay, not quite as good as yours, but close. Oh yeah, that's nice. Yes, something seems impossible is made possible. Okay. Creation and recreation. That's right, replacing new parts. Yep.
An act of God.
Act of God. Okay. Okay, more than a coincidence. That's quite good, yeah. And, okay. Be explained by science. And your last one? Okay. I think that's covered by some of those things there as well. So I'll leave that one there. Okay, healing by laying on of hands. So it could be a healing miracle. And something that happens very instantly. Supernatural event, an intervention by God, a supernatural of overturning natural events. Something seems impossible is made possible. Creation and recreation. God can create a new creation, create new parts of a body. It's an act of God, it's more than a coincidence, and it can't be explained. Pretty good? Right definition? Okay, I'm going to read one story from the book of Acts where God actually does a miracle. No, I'm not. I'm going to get you thinking a little bit more. We're going to sing in a minute. I'm going to do one more thing. I want you on your tables. No, okay, we're going to sing. We'll sing first. Let's sing. We're going to sing. And then we're going to think about how miracles come about. So I want you to think about that while we're singing. How do miracles come about? What's the ingredients to create a miracle? Okay? Got some thoughts there? I'm going to write them down. Okay. You might disagree with the statement that faith releases miracles, but that's what I've made there. Faith is. Okay, we'll begin over here. Believing something, yeah? Okay, that's good. Yeah, that's quite good. Thank you. Yep. Okay. So faith is being certain. Certainty. Okay. Okay, so we've got there being certain, faith is being certain, and then acting on that certainty. So that's quite together there. You've got believing without proof, and then being certain of something, and then acting on it. Okay? What have you got? Speaking out.
If something knowing it must happen.
Okay. So again, being certain, and acting on that. Yeah. From believing to being certain. So we've gone down that same road again. Yep. How about this end? Okay. So it's faith in someone. Okay. So actually, I think there was also the word trust was coming out there as well, because you can believe that they're going to do you good. Okay, we'll come back. Okay.
We've got believing in someone's ability to do something.
Okay, so back to the someone, believing in their ability. That's okay, being sure. And what's the last bit?
Hebrews 11:1.
Yeah. Okay. Again, it's believing. I'm going to put that last bit down. Believing something is, even though we can't see it. Oh, we can't see it. And the other one there was that it's speaking as if something is. As if something is, even when it isn't yet. It isn't visible. Okay. Is. All right. Yeah, agree on that? So, faith releases miracles is what was the statement I made. How and what is faith? Faith is believing without proof, being certain and being able to act on that certainty, speaking out. In fact, saying faith there is actually acting on that certainty, isn't it? Speaking out, knowing it will happen. Faith is a journey from believing to being certain. Faith is someone we can believe in and trust in, believing in their ability, believing something is even though we can't see, and speaking as if something is, even when it's not visible. Okay, Jesus said to the disciples, why could you not believe? The story that we were looking at here, it says that Jesus has said to the disciples, let's go over to the other side. On their way, there's this great big storm. Now, if they were believing, they would say to themselves, we are going to the other side. Jesus didn't say, let's go to the middle of the lake and sink. If Jesus had said, let's go to the middle of the lake and sink, they might have been a bit worried. But Jesus said, let's go to the other side. And once Jesus had said, I'm going to the other side, that was it. As far as Jesus was concerned, he was going to the other side. And that never changed. Even though there was a storm and everything was happening, he was sleeping, and quite happily, because he was having a rest and he was going to the other side. The disciples, on the other hand, were now in the middle of the storm and thinking, what's happening? Look at this massive storm. We're going to sink. The water's coming in. It's terrible. We're going to die. And starts waking up Jesus and saying, don't you care about us? How many times do you do that? You know, when everything starts to go wrong, when everything's not turning out as it should, even though you thought it was going to look okay, you suddenly start saying, God, don't you care about us? And we start thinking that God isn't there, God isn't worried, God isn't interested in us. And so the storm suddenly changes our perspective of the situation that we're in. We're no longer thinking I'm going to the other side, we're now thinking I'm going to drown. And we think that God doesn't know, God doesn't care, God's gone to sleep, and he's not interested, and so we're about to drown. And then God comes and says, look, what are you worried about? Am I not still here? You know, haven't I told you that we're going to the other side? Didn't you believe my word? Didn't you have faith in what I was saying? And so he stands up and he commands the sea to go calm. And he commands the waves to stop. And immediately everything goes quiet. And it's at that point when Jesus actually says, why didn't you believe? Where was your faith? And then they begin to ask each other, who is this? Who is this man that can do these things? And you know, it's trusting God, isn't it? Always this kind of story is trusting God in the storm, isn't it? Believing that God is in the storm, that God is there in the midst of our troubles. So I've got some questions for you that I want you to look at together. If I can find them. Okay, yeah. That's not the one. I should have another bit of paper somewhere. Here it is. Oh. Hundreds of pieces of paper. Right, this is the questions. Have you got a bit of pen there? Can you write these down? I might put them on the board as well. Jesus doesn't promise to rescue us out of everything. Okay? Sometimes he is in it with us. Can we have faith? He is always there. What are the scariest moments that you've had, and did you doubt that God was there? So that's the question I want you to think about. What was the scariest moment that you had? No, just write this question. What's the scariest moment that you've had, and did you doubt in that moment? Okay? And when you were tempted, or when were you tempted to believe that Jesus didn't care? Was there a time when you were tempted to believe that Jesus didn't care? That he wasn't really concerned about you, particularly as an individual? So those two questions there. What's the scariest moment you've had, and did you doubt? And when have you been tempted to believe that Jesus didn't care? They were the two things that were happening. They were in the boat, they were afraid. They suddenly thought, we're going to drown. They doubted the word that they were going to get to the other side. And then secondly, they believed that Jesus, they said, well, don't you care about us, that we're going to drown? So just ask those questions on your table, okay? Can you remember a scariest moment? And did you doubt? And have you been tempted to say, God, I don't think you care? Okay. Are you still discussing? Yeah, okay, keep going. What did you have? Okay, I'm going to throw another question out to you. We've said about faith. So, where does faith come from? You can get yourself in a crisis, and maybe you have instant faith that you can draw on. Maybe because you have to cry out quickly, you believe something. But where does it come from? Where does this faith come from? So I want you to just ask yourselves, where does faith come from? Can I get more of it? Where can I find it? Pray, yes. Yeah, that's true. Pray. That's pray. Prayer, yeah. Yeah, put it in there. No, you'll say it in a minute. Yeah. I want you to have a think together. Okay? Let me have some suggestions. We'll start on this table with Mike. It's a gift. Okay? So it can start small, can grow by... Okay. Okay. I'll leave that one. We'll come to this one. What have you got?
We've got prayer, hearing the word.
Hearing the word. Agree with God. Agree with God. Yeah. So he kept on agreeing with God even though he couldn't see anything happening. He agreed that what God was saying was true, even though he couldn't see it. So kind of like waiting for his experience to catch up with his knowledge of God. So
the children said
heart and brain, yeah. So when when what's in your heart, it catches up, and your mind starts to agree with it. What's in your heart, yeah. Good, well done. Practicing daily, yeah. Hearing other faith stories, yeah. And also, in the corner. Okay, yeah. Believe in the Bible. So, yeah. Okay. Believe in the word. That's what you said. Okay. I've capitalised a few bits there. Prayer, word, relationship. There was practicing, which I thought was quite good. Continually practicing. The things I've got here is I've put down that prayer is a key to our faith. Also that listening to God, which is about relationship with God. So it's not just you telling God what you want, but it's actually hearing from God. So listening. And then also that relationship is important, because if we're having that relationship where we're meeting and practicing daily, that relationship, faith comes actually from that connection that we have with God. So we're talking to God, which is our connection. We're listening to God, which is our connection. We're reading daily, which is our connection. And so that connection with God actually is what enables us to believe in a situation. When a situation comes, we need to have those things. So, and humility is another thing, because if we're going to believe that God can do something, then we're actually saying, I can't do this. And when we get to a place where we think to ourselves, I can't do this, God has to do it, then that's humility. And God wants our humility. He wants our obedience, so that we actually agree to do with God. Agreeing with God is obedience. We actually do what God asks from us. So those points there about prayer, listening, obedience, humility. And that practicing is also about surrendering. It's about each day giving up who we are to God. I'm giving my life to you, God. A question we could ask ourselves, how do we feel about, my relationship with God? Is God the most important thing to me? Even about, everything that I want. Can I give up my ambition, my desires, my worry about house, my worry about money, my career? Where do I go in my head? Do I say to myself, God, I only want what you want. I only want to live what you want me to live. I only want to go down your path, and I don't want to go down any other one. And if we're saying that, and we're surrendering ourselves to God, and we're saying, God, all I want is what you want. All I want is your path. All I want to do is to follow you. Then God will begin to bring those many things that we've said there, divine interventions, connections, different things come into our lives. And when we're in that place of crisis, God can actually enable us that gift of faith that we need at that time. He can raise our faith level up so that we're able to connect with him. And I think it is very much a heart thing. It's our heart thing, isn't it? Because what does our heart say? Is my heart, it says of David, doesn't it, that David's desired God. He said, David has a heart after me, a man after my own heart. He said, he's a man after my own heart. And that was the most important thing about David. David did lots of things wrong, but always on the way, he had a heart for God. And it was the most important thing to him. And he messed up on the way, but he was always after God. And so at the end of the day, God was looking at his heart. God was saying, this guy, it doesn't matter that he's done this wrong, it doesn't matter if he's done that. I know his heart, and his heart is for me. And so I am going to be with him, and I'm going to protect him, and I'm going to keep him, and I'm going to make sure he's okay, because his heart is for me. And I think, if that's our heart, for God, above everything else, it's not worrying about the money, it's not worrying about our possessions, it's not worrying about our career, it's not worrying about what we want to happen in our lives. It's actually a heart for God, because Jesus said, seek first the kingdom of God, and then all these other things will come. They'll be added in, and it's just getting that priority, isn't it? It's getting that perspective, a God perspective, on who God is, and what he wants for us. I've got something else, but I'm not going to share it now because I think we're probably there. Debbie's been saying something to me recently. She keeps saying we need to get a God perspective. Say that. And that's why he said, didn't he? Why can't you believe? I'm here with you. Yeah. Just a couple of other things about faith. Faith isn't about so much about us and what we do, but about who God is and what God's already done. So, it's not like you come to God in prayer and you think that God's doing a little tick list. Well, you didn't read your Bible today, and you messed up with that person, so I really can't answer your prayers. Because we kind of have this picture, that we earn it, or we're worthy of it in some way because of what we've done. And we imagine our faith is kind of like our job, that we have to muster up that faith. But actually God's done it all, and what he wants us to do is to enter into a connection with him where we just trust and believe and don't think that we have to earn it, because we can't earn it, because it's a gift. It's God gives us faith, and we walk in faith by just trusting him, not by actually thinking that God's there kind of with waiting to see whether we've measured up, and now he can give it to us. Now he can answer our prayers. He's already done it. He's done it all. He did it on the cross. So we just have to receive it. Yeah, that's good. Because that takes away the focus from now and actually realises that actually God's got much more in view here. And if you can actually get your eyes off of the now sometimes and just see what God's got in plan. Yeah, the eternal perspective, yeah.